Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, and if this is your first time, welcome. This is going to be an important video because more people need to know about this Balisong. Frankly, it's not talked about, not nearly enough. So let's dive into it. Alright, let's get into the specs. So first, let's talk about the handles. These are made out of 7075 aluminum in a sandwich design, anodized with a satin polish, lots of cutouts and jipping, honestly in every face inside for incredibly solid grip. I absolutely love how these feel, and I'd say compared to a lot of other Balisongs that I do have, this actually flies out of my hand significantly less in a good way. Next, let's talk about the blade. So the blade is 420 stainless steel. It is hardened PVP coated, and if you take a really nice close look at it, it's beautiful. It's very nicely chamfered on every single edge. So there's not a single sharp corner on this thing. It feels absolutely comfortable to chaplain on the right side, but the bite handle indicator is slightly uncomfortable, not honestly horrible. I can honestly chaplain on this more than some other Balisongs, but even then it does its job. I could definitely feel it, but the blade itself is just wow. I'm very impressed by by the quality of it. And the pivot systems, let's talk about that. So the pivots are kind of similar to BB Barfly's single barrel and 2 screw system. It also does run on phosphorus bronze washers, and it of course also does run on bushings for a beautiful well held tune. And of course, last but not least, with the Glidr MOAB, is the most unique thing about it is its absolutely innovative weight system. So it is an adjustable weight system with 2 sets of spacers. So the first set is going to be a extended channel spacer, and the second one is going to be a more basic short spacer. And each of these spacers have 4 slots for 4 weight screws. And to me, I think this is the best, most customizable weight system I've ever seen so far, and I will go into more details in a second. So next, let's actually talk about the flipping experience, and you can't really go into it without talking about the weights. And for the following demonstration of tricks that I will perform, it will be done with 2 weights in the end of each spacer. So it's going to have a little bit more heavier of a momentum. It's going to be easier to do rollovers, chaplains for me, and that's just my personal preference. And so with the weight system, you actually have such a wide variety of configurations that the balance can range from very slightly handle bias with the small spacers and no weights to a very handle bias with the extended spacers and 4 weights. So for the current configuration, like I said before, I like it a lot because it does make rollovers and chaplains a lot easier. And again, I actually prefer those tricks, especially when I'm practicing aerial chaplains or helix aerials. It just feels a lot better for me. The fans for this actually still feel amazing, and even with 2 end weights in each handle, it still fans incredibly well. And I don't know, it's it's just nice. It does have slight shaking, and you know, granted, like I said, I configured it to my personal preferences. So let's go over the tricks that it goes through really well. So for fans, the regular fans, of course, do well. The reverse fans, I feel like a little goofy, mostly just because when I practice the reverse fans, it's always to a reverse fan to open. So I get 2 good fans in there, and then boop, it just opens, and well, there it is. Choker fans, it choker fans remarkably well. I will say it's a little bit slower than maybe the BB Barfly because it does have more momentum since it's very, very end weighted, but it still does it incredibly well. C chokers also very well, and the palm fan also incredibly well. I will say for the choker and Z choker, the jimping and the squareness of the handles definitely do help in keeping the fans going once you get it started, and it's less inclined to slip out of your hands while you perform those tricks. So for rollovers, the Zen rollover, easy. Y2K, also easy. The whip and the index rollover, I feel, are also easy, and the reverse thumb rollover is also easy. It's not really much to it, but because I will say it again, with my configuration, makes those tricks easier. The ricochet tricks, easy. Same thing with ladders. The jimping on it actually feels fantastic. Well, if you want the jimping to connect from the handles of the sandwich, you should use the faux channel spacers, because those do follow the jimping along the sides of the handle, and it's actually very, very nice. So ladders are fantastic, aerials are easy, and I'd say, like, especially with the aerials, having different colored handles definitely helps when you need to practice your timing. The helix aerial in the helix, also easy. Same thing with behind the 8-ball. The full twirl, short stop, thumb chaplain, aerial chaplains, these are all fantastic tricks, and you can definitely see me attempting some scissors. Honestly, I'm still learning how to do the scissor properly, or just trying to improve it, because I have done it. But depending on between Balisong and Balisong, some tricks are just going to be easier, and I think because I put a lot of heavy end weight in the spacers, it kind of makes it a little bit harder since the momentum is a lot slower, and so when I try to kick it off to the second scissor, it doesn't want to flip very well, versus something like the Kraken, where I can scissor pretty regularly, and by regularly I mean maybe out of like 3 out of 10 times. So as I described with the tricks, I loved how this thing flipped. Not only did it do the tricks that I wanted it to do, and you know, I can essentially keep changing it to flip to feel better if my preference ever changes. It's also just so comfortable to flip, even with 4 weights in, which is crazy handle bias, by the way. It still feels light to flip, and there are no sharp edges anywhere on this Balisong. And besides, like, the bite indicator, it's uncomfortable but not painful. Every part of this Balisong is well-rounded and chamfered, and it just feels absolutely amazing to hold and to flip. I guess even like the Zen nipple too, like it has never caught me once or twice. Oh, it's never caught me once. Well, I don't know why I said once or twice. But for instance, like the Nautilus, the Tang pins, these have definitely caught me. And I think which is kind of weird, because even for this Nautilus that I bought secondhand, honestly, it could have been a clone. So all the edges on this thing were incredibly sharp. Like, it just felt like it was cut directly off like the sheet and put on a Balisong. I had to sand the hell out of these, out of the bite handle indicator, especially because this shit ripped. The corners here, the tip too, a little bit, because again, it just felt so incredibly unfinished and sharp. And even like the blade cutouts, like these are still like a little sharp, even when I like tried to like sand it out. And there's actually a little bit of rusting in there, which is a little unfortunate. But in comparison to something like the Orion, also, it still has some sharper edges, especially towards the inside of the sandwich or the handles. and the cutouts here don't feel as finished, but this is still a fantastic Balisong. It's still very comfortable. I would say it's not nearly as bad as the blade of the Nautilus V2 that I have, but out of all of them, I think out of almost every Balisong I own, this is probably the best in terms of trainers. It's just fantastic. You can even see like the jimping on the sides of the handle, like right here, these little like cutouts, and these just also feel incredibly comfortable. This has so much good grip and I love it. So for the flipping score, I'd give it a 10 out of 10. Next, let's talk about the value. So value wise, I actually got this MOAB on a blemished sale for around 125, and I'm not gonna lie, I couldn't find a blemish on me, but I mean there was a little bit of a ding right here, kind of hard to see because my camera doesn't focus very well. So ding here and ding here. These come from whipping this into the bottom of my metal chair when I'm trying to do ladders on it. But when I got this, it came with the case, 4 washers, 4 spacers, 8 weights, and for the 4 spacers, again, it's 2 just square end handle spacers and 2 faux channel liner spacers. Those also have jimping on it. It also came with a precision flathead bit for the spacer weight install, an extra set of pivots, so it's 4 screws and 2 barrels. And this is the most surprising part for me, is that it did not come with extra bushings. You know, considering everything else it gave, I'm actually not too mad about that, because the thing came out of the box with such a good tune with absolutely no play and no tap, and it is almost dead close to a machine-wise tune. And I don't take that lightly, because I do have a Seraph and a Totori with that level of tune. I will say this Totori is a little fucked though, but you know, we can save this for another video. But this thing came so well tuned that it doesn't really need bushings, honestly. All it really needs is a good set of washers, and it does come with that. And you know, considering like buying something from Squid, BB Barfly, or Machine Wise, or LDY, I think out of all of them, the one that can compare closest to this would probably be BB Barfly with extra hardware in a case. But I mean, for me it's a 10 out of 10. You can't really ask for more than that. To me, they went above and beyond with everything here. Like with a Superfly here, actually, it did come with a case, but for the Barracuda, it did not come with a case, which is unfortunate. But this thing was 125 blemished, 135 full price, and it came with all of that good stuff. So 10 out of 10. Next, let's talk about durability. It is made out of 7075 aluminum, and I will say I'm not going to talk too much about it, other than the times I yeeted this thing into the chair, because the bottom of my chair, it's all steel. And with the BB Barfly Barracuda, it's 6061 aluminum, which obviously is not going to be nearly as strong as 7075. I've dropped this thing on wood, on concrete, and mostly just on the steel chair, and it has held up better, and it will hold up better because material differences are just inevitable. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. It's not going to hold nearly as well as steel Balisongs or, you know, titanium Balisongs, but for what it is, it does amazing, and I can't complain about it. But it's just so beautiful, so I don't want to keep dropping it. So if you ask, would I recommend this Balisong, I would say hell yes, I do. And again, full price for it is around $10 more, around $135 for the non-blemish price, and I think it's absolutely worth it considering all the aforementioned. And you know, concerning my last video, the random rant video, this would have made it, but I made the video before I got this. And the only other Balisong that could compare in a similar price point would be the Barracuda V2, and I'm not gonna lie, I actually do kind of think I like the MOAB more for two main reasons. So let's really get into it. So for one, pivots are better. The pivot heads are deeper, harder to strip, and the barrels are more robust, because I actually snapped one of my Barracuda V2 pivots when I was trying to crank down the screws and squeeze the handles, because I was a
complete Doug Doofus.
Accidentally stripped one of the screws. This one's actually still stripped. I tightened the handles and cranked it, and I unga-bunga'd it, and it turns out I was wondering why I was stuck, and it was because the barrel actually snapped in half, and I ended up having to take a pin and hammering out the pivots on this thing, which is really unfortunate. And for the second reason, I would say the weight system is significantly better. And because, you know, similar to the Barracuda, like the Barracuda, you don't have to disassemble the Balisong, which I think should be a huge prerequisite if you want to make a weight system, because disassembling it is such a pain in the ass. With this one, you can just take out the pivot screws on the bottom and slide it out and snap it in place. It's so convenient and easy, and it doesn't mess with the tune of the Balisong. I don't get why more people don't do this, or maybe I'm just misinformed or uninitiated and I don't know that there's plenty of other people out there who do use this method. But it's just so easy, it's so nice, and it works so incredibly well. Not only is it easy to change, but there's a wider range of how you can change this. And being in having options is such a good thing. Like, I can never complain about having more options. And my god, with the 4 weights, the only other Balisong I could think of was the Thomas Refault, but those ones you have to unscrew like the bottom and screw the top a little bit, take off the G10 handle, and you have to push the weights out. Those weights are like free floating weights, and so they can rattle if they're not perfectly tuned to the holes that they're being slotted into. But this one, again, it's absolutely genius that they decided to use screws as the weights, and they screw in, so there's no weight rattle when you flip this thing around. And it's so nice, it's so easy too. And you can probably see in the video that I try it. I'm doing it incredibly easy with just one hand. I don't have to crank anything down. It's just chef's kiss. I can never, complain about that. Other than all the good stuff I just glazed over it, there are, I think, a few improvements that could be made to it, but honestly, these are kind of just nitpicky if anything else. I do think the jipping could be a little bit more aggressive. I will say I did compliment on how smooth everything felt and how comfortable it all felt, but I will say making the jipping a little bit more aggressive won't really take away from any comfort, because it's supposed to grip better when you ladder it. And in the video you could see me laddering it pretty well, but I could ladder the Barracuda V2 better because it is a little bit more aggressive, but it's still comfortable. That's the thing. There's a good balance between comfortable and aggressive that you could achieve with it, and I think it's very possible that it could be done with it. But I'm just one guy who has this opinion. Maybe someone shares my sentiment, maybe someone doesn't, so it's all personal opinion at the end of the day. With the jipping, it could just be a skill issue, but nothing could have worse jipping than this guy. Sorry Squid, I'm gonna keep roasting the Nautilus. Hey, you guys made the Kraken. This thing has fantastic jipping. This is a little bit more aggressive. It feels fantastic. This one, maybe I'm just really good with the Kraken compared to my other Balisongs. Ooh, voice crack. You're welcome. But this one does ladder better for me. And another thing that people could complain about, because this Balisong I think is lighter, let me put up the weight right here actually, than other Balisongs, it does feel a little hollow and light, especially due to the cutouts. There's a significant amount of cutouts here. They're actually pretty deep, but I think it benefits the grip. And the only one that's also that I have is 60 or 7075 aluminum sandwich is the Orion, and this one feels more substantial than the Moab, and you can kind of hear it in like the sound test, which I'll do now. And now here's the Orion. Reminder, oil your Balisongs, because I didn't oil this and this thing's a little beat up. But it's also probably just because the slabs for the sandwich on this one are thicker and have thinner cutouts than that. And in the grand scheme, I don't think it's like any of these are bad things. These are just nitpicks, and at the end of the day, like any Balisong review, is just all personal preference. And all that aside, I still think that this is going to be my new favorite mid-range Balisong above the Barracuda. Sorry, BB Barfly. It is still fantastic. Do not get me wrong though, I love the BB Barfly so much, and I will be keeping the Barfly, but I think this Balisong deserves the spotlight, and Glidr deserves all the love for creating this absolute gem of a Balisong. It's just so wonderful. Yeah, look, I don't know why I didn't notice, but it says little Glidr. I think lasered into the blade. But for those who are watching, thank you for watching to the end of the video. And if you have any questions, suggestions, or want to share experiences, please leave it in the comments below. I do read every comment. Granted, I have maybe 10, but I'm not complaining. Please like and subscribe if you want to. If you don't, I won't be hurt. That's okay. And of course, again, thank you for watching. Please be kind, be good, take care of yourself and the ones you love. Bye-bye.